Okay, so let me maybe begin where the word came from. So we got autocracy, right, as a decision-making model, which is it's power like hierarchical, right? Autocracy, which means one person makes decision for others, yeah, or a group makes decision for others. And then we have democracy, which is in the middle, which is decisions are made by the majority of people, right? And we are living in a democracy, most countries in the world. And then the model of co-operacy is that decisions are made by those that are affected. Yeah? How those decisions made can be still autocratic. You choose someone to make a decision for you for it, you know. The group who is affected, they might choose a delegate to make the decision. Or they might choose a group of people, or they might choose, to use a democratic model. They choose, but they are asked how they want to decide. So that's the distinction of the co-operacy towards democracy and autocracy. So that's where Dale and Anne and Bill came from, and Stephen, when they looked at co-operacy as a model. And so when we look at businesses nowadays who work more and more in a collaborative way and wanting to move more and more into co-operacy, and you see Dale actually wrote a book about how to use it at work, it's that fine line of, how can we involve the people that are affected in our decision making better so we can make work better collaboratively together. And it doesn't mean consensus. And I think this is where a lot of leaders, or I've worked at least with some leaders, get it kind of wrong, where they think, oh my God, collaboration and cooperacy means I have to involve everyone in every decision, which they give their power away, and it kind of slows the collaborative process down. And a lot of people, particularly in large organizations, get frustrated and don't want to do it. Rather than involving them into deciding how do we decide and make it efficient. And some decisions in a hierarchical organization are autocratic. They have to be autocratic, right? Because the responsibility ultimately lies a lot with the leaders, and they have a much higher domain of responsibility. But at least, the people who are affected might be consulted, but they're not necessarily involved in the decision. Has anyone here heard of the IP2? Like Michelle is down. This is community engagement. They do a lot about community engagement, and there is a framework in there around the different stages. You either can inform the community, or you consult them, or you co-create with them, or you empower them to make the decisions themselves. So I love that framework. It's really clear, and it's really on a really big scale. Louis, talking about big scale, and big organizations have to consult communities. That's the sort of scale they do, and they tell them how much decision-making power the community has. So that's one thing to clarify. And then in terms of the model for Michelle, the structure of the model, it's grounded in the roots of the values of cooperacy, and you can see in there decisions are made by those affected. Number one, working together as peers cooperatively, like really trying to get away from who has the higher position, really trying to work on equalizing power in cooperacy, valuing difference, really bringing in different perspectives, and equal worth. And recognizing we're not all equal in a hierarchical situation or in anything, like there's often inequalities, but we have an equal worth in contribution, and sometimes, like I said, a decision-making power is decided how we decide at the end, right? But we treat it as human beings with equal worth, and all voices are heard. It's not the majority voice who wins kind of thing, ultimately. And then on the trunk, on the way up, the tree grows and gets stronger through choice and ownership and commitment to reach agreement. So the group has to have a commitment to reach agreement. If there's no commitment, we end up in constant disagreement and nowhere, right? The group has to be committed to make an agreement, or even to agree to disagree, something. And people have to choose and have to take ownership of their contributions and decisions. And then you have all the decision-making models at the, anything can happen. Like sometimes in a physical course, we go out on a tree and we look at a tree. And what's really beautiful when you look at a tree and you see it's so diverse, like when it comes up into the branches, it can branch out in all sorts of possibilities of decision making. It's really organic, and it really, which is so solid with the roots, it really allows an enormous amount of flexibility how the group wants to make the decision.